everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm still your favorite nurse, Nurse Dean, and yes, I've been on a break for over 2 weeks and I've missed you all so much. Today I bring you an interesting topic that I'm sure you're going to be very interested in, and it's going to be about my first experience in the operating theater. So sit right there and let's talk about this story. Welcome back everybody, and yes, I hope you're with your popcorn because you're about to hear this interesting, funny and yet encouraging story about how I managed to survive the experience in the theater. So one of the units that I have always been so interested in is the operating theater, and I'll say it happens to be the top on my list. I always craved one day getting into that unit, and yes, one day the opportunity was right before me, and oh my god, it was actually exciting and scary at the same time. So as of that time, I was posted to the pediatric unit, and yes, I wasn't really excited about being in the pediatric unit, but along the line I got used to being in that unit. So it happened that one particular day I have this patient, a child of say 2 years, who was supposed to undergo a particular surgery known as adenotonsillectomy. And yes, I remember using that particular topic as during my case study. So this adenotonsillectomy, before I continue with my story, is just is a surgery done mostly for kids that helps in the removal of those inflamed tonsils and adenoids. Yes, most times when kids have those their tonsils inflamed, they tend to have difficulty in sleeping. You see them breathing, so snoring per se. So back to my story. I leveraged on that opportunity. I went in. I went in, typical me, so happy that yes, I'm about to witness a surgery, in as much as some people call it a minor surgery. But for me, as long as you go into that theater, my dear, it's not minor, because the things that you have to go through, it's actually by the grace of God. Yes. So when we got to the theater, the patient was wheeled into the operating room. When all the preparations continued, yes, we had the anesthetist come into action and administering the general anesthesia, and of course connecting all those tubes for them to give room for the lungs to receive air and all those stuff. And yes, after that one, I enjoyed that particular part. The anesthetist was a very jolly good fellow. Kept on updating me. He had an assistant, I guess she was a lady, I think in training or something like that. So I kept on asking my questions, curious cat like me. I asked all the questions I could ask, and yes, I was answered. Then it was time. The time had come for the surgery to begin, and yes, I was there, standing in a particular place where I can view every single thing that is happening. And the surgeon was a very good doctor. He kept on making sure that he answers questions and carrying me along because I was really interested in it. The first impression I had before, I was like, let me go through YouTube and have a glimpse of what it looks like. I was thinking they were going to cut through the mouth like this and open it up for them to take in all those tools. But unfortunately, I was wrong. They started with using the gauze to close up all possible ways that blood can maybe seep into the airway and causing a complication, occlusion of the airway. So next thing was the cutting part. Yeah, it was actually a very tiny goods, kind of like the inflammation. It wasn't really so big, but the mindset that these people are actually cutting something out of this child was freaking me bloody out. I could only imagine myself, like I was just imagining myself being on that table and they were doing the same thing to me. So the first cut came and they cut it and then they place it on the table. So I watched them place the tiny piece of tissue, and they are cut out from that particular place, and I was really, really scared. Then at some point they're bleeding, like blood and all those stuff, and the woman in me became a history. The strong lady in me became a history, because I was already shaking. Like, I could feel myself sweating very well. I couldn't even breathe. It was all the smell of blood, the smell of a lot of things. So I could barely stand. I had to sit for a while. All these things I'm talking about is happening in just adenotestectomy. So I had to ask myself, what if it was actually cesarean section that was going on here? How would I be able to hold myself down? Because I was really, really freaking out. Now it drew me back to those times where I watch things on maybe skits or something like that, when we see people faint in the operating theater, and I had to encourage myself as much as I could, and I kept on watching till some point when I couldn't again. Meanwhile, I was sitting and sit for a while, stand, sit for a while, stand, sit for a while. That's what I continued doing until it got to a point where I could not bear it again. I had to excuse myself from the theater. I went outside. I just needed fresh air. Like, I just needed to breathe something else that does not have anything to do with blood, that does not have the smell of blood, or that does not have people that are touching blood in it. So I stayed outside for say 2 to 3 minutes before going back into the theater, and oh my god, these people turned me into a laughing stock, because they were all seated there and they were laughing. But when I came in, I felt actually better, so I was able to watch, not fixing my eye totally on it, but as I was watching, I was taking times to maybe look out, distract myself a bit, then come back to watching the procedure going on. So after say a few minutes later, the procedure was all over and I was free once more. I was free from this torment, from this destruction. So, suturing, cleaning up and everything, and then it was now time for reversal. We did everything and the patient regained consciousness. I was able to breathe on her own, and we wheeled her back into the pediatric unit after the period of recovery. This was my experience in the operating unit, and trust our team, trust our staff. Before I could even get back to the pediatric unit, my colleagues that were there, they were already calling me and they were all laughing at me. It was really, really a very interesting experience, and this is something I want to do over and over again. And yes, I've been able to experience not just adenotoxylectomy, but lots of surgeries, ranging from urological surgeries and various surgeries. I've even witnessed a cesarean section. I've also witnessed ovarian cystectomy, which is removal of cysts from the ovaries, and I believe that I'm going to witness and, if possible, assist in lots of surgeries in the future, because yes, it is a very, very interesting place to be. And kudos to you all surgeons, you all the surgery team. You guys are the real MVP in the healthcare system. Thank you so much, you all, for watching, and stay tuned for another series on my experiences in the healthcare system. Bye, and see you all in my next video.